Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. I'm here with Eric Barfell, our very fine youth pastor. We're glad you're here, man.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to be here. I'm not saying just on the podcast. I mean, at church, actually.
Yeah.
So, in the whole scope of life, like the big job and the little job of the podcast, both things.
I'm glad I've made it in, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to talk about respect. And one of the things that I hear, screamed out, and you hear police officers saying, respect me. You see the black community saying, respect me. Not everyone, but I mean, a few of them are out there, in some loud voices. And I've always heard this, respect is earned. And you can't, as soon as you're demanding respect, no matter what your position or office, I think that it's not good. Like if I would hear a boss and he would come out and he would say, I demand you guys on the floor, let's say he's a foreman at a factory. Right. I demand you guys respect me. As soon as you have to say it, it's over.
Okay.
Because you shouldn't have to say it. Because if you haven't already earned their respect,
true,
going out there and demanding their respect, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, let's say if you're lazy, you're not doing a good job, so on and so forth.
Not very respectable. Right.
Exactly.
So we actually just talked about that. We're doing a relationships series in our young adults Bible study. And so we talked about respect, and then we look at respect in different relationships, friends, husband, wife, with non-believers, et cetera, et cetera. So, and it's just very discussion based. So the question is respect given or is it earned?
It's earned. Absolutely.
So are you saying you have no respect for anyone until they earn your respect?
I mean, there's a position where I'll respect it. I think that's a great question. Like, I'll respect the position, but I'm not going to respect the person in the position if they're not respectable. In other words, if you're my boss, whether I respect you or not, like the Bible says, you're going to go out and work hard.
Sure.
For a good boss, for a bad boss, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to respect that position. But you as a person, no.
I see.
Yeah, no. And I really do believe, I think respect is earned is a classic statement. And I think there's just a lot of truth to it, because I'm the kind of person, let's say if somebody doesn't trust me, then I'm not going to per se blame them. I'm going to say, okay, well, what do I need to do better?
Sure.
Because if I haven't earned that by now, then maybe there's something on my part and some reason that I've not earned that person's respect, because I tend to look at it on me and saying, this is my issue. Like, I can't go as a coach when I was coaching kids. If I haven't earned their respect as a coach, me demanding it's not going to make those kids respect me more.
Sure.
I mean, they might be compliant. I mean, they might be, but I mean, when they're on the back of the bus talking about coach, right. It's probably not going to be positive.
Trash talking.
Exactly.
I'm imagining.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, because I think of it in a sense that like a common courtesy. Yeah, I have a general respect for everyone. I'll hold the door open for you, whether I like you or I have a very general basic respect for people. But at the same time, like I was thinking about my youth leaders who give their time on a Sunday night. Yes, I most definitely have a respect for them, especially because they're giving up their time. They're working with our youth. They're doing a great job, by the way. Then there's times where they will step up, they will speak, or I'll hear someone talking about them in like high praise, and it's just reinforced in my mind and just solidified. I'm like, that is why I have them on my team.
Right.
And like my respect for them in that sense grows even more so.
Right.
So yeah, I have a basic respect for all people, or at least I try to. But then there's times where like, I don't know, I see your hard work, your whatever you do, and it just grows from there.
I think too, some of what you're talking about is being courteous. Like, I think that, you're courteous if you're holding the door for someone. It doesn't matter if they're a respectable person or not a respect. It's just who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
So who you are as a human being is, I want to be courteous. I want to show love. I want to show kindness. So I'm going to hold that door open. It has nothing to do with you as a person. I think that when you get in relationships where you know people well, you can't just expect, like a boss can't just expect respect if they're not really pushing themselves.
Sure.
Because what they're going to do is everyone's just going to kind of follow suit. And morale goes down, actually. Like, if you have a bad coach, you got to figure with the Browns, I mean, and some of the things they went through last year, I would have to imagine in the locker room talk,
it's probably
couldn't
hard,
be good. Yeah, because, as a coach, you're not really bringing a winning team. And you and I were actually there last year at training camp.
Oh, yeah.
And we kind of saw, like, it seemed to me kind of like lackadaisical.
A little questionable there.
Yeah, no,
like,
actually.
Hey. Right, boys.
Yeah, and I would just kind of wondered about that at the time, because it was so low key. And I'm like, man, I ran harder soccer practices than I'm seeing. And then what did we see from the first game on? They come up against Tennessee, I think it was, and lost.
Not too great.
Right out the gate. So,
not too great.
So
that's
it was
sure.
definitely disappointing. But I think that's a case where you would have to earn respect. And when it comes to, let's say, leadership is built on three principles. It's your character, all right? It's your capabilities, it's your chemistry. So if you don't have good character, people really aren't going to respect you as a leader, and you're not going to have influence if you're not good at your job.
Right.
Like as a coach, if he's not a good coach, it's going to come out there. Therefore, you're going to start to lose respect. You're going to start to lose your influence. The chemistry part would be relationships. If you don't have a good relationship and don't really care about people, they're probably not going to respect you as much. And I think from all those ways, even from a leadership position, all those ways are ways that I'm going to be earning a person's respect as a leader. Because in a lot of things, like as a pastor, you're a leader, a shepherd's a leader of your staff, a leader at home, you know what I mean? And I think all of us have spheres of influence, and it always comes, there's a tripod that is like, you can't have a tripod for a camera standing on 2 legs.
Yeah, right.
It has to have 3 legs, and that's the way leadership and influence really is. And I would say / respect as well. Again, are you good at what you do? Do you have good relationships? Do you have character?
Can one of those make up for the other?
I don't think so.
Not entirely, but like where it might be lacking.
You might have a strong suit, but I think you're going to have a tough time earning respect without character. Like, in other words, if you're lying to your guys all the time, or to your spouse, or to people around you, or if you're a youth leader and maybe they're an exceptionally loving person, like you say, so you respect the love they have for the kids, but they're every other week they have another excuse why they can't be there. They come every week late.
I see.
It's going to start dinging the respect that you have, and they might be like, rock star in a certain area, but then you're kind of getting frustrated. So I think because of the frustrations that would come, no.
Well, that solidifies the tripod analogy. Right. You don't want a wobbly tripod.
Exactly.
You want to get a blurry photo.
And actually, I didn't make that up, and I'm not going to claim credit for that. I read it in a book, I think it was called Leadership Revolution, and they talked about it. And I thought that I liked it because it was a very simple approach to leadership. And to me, earning respect is just right there. Again, it's your character. Do you have good character?
Gotcha.
The chemistry of relationships, and are you capable? Are you doing a good job at what you do? Because you tend to respect people who are good. In other words, I like to take photographs. I'm probably not going to want to go learn from somebody who takes crummy, blurry photos. And not,
right.
I'm going to tend to go towards people who are really good.
To push yourself.
Yeah.
To stretch your own limits and learn new things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think that too, you respect different people on different levels. You know what I mean? As you get to know them, like, because they're really capable, like you as a bicyclist. If I had a question about bicycles, I would come to you because you're kind of like the staff expert when it comes to bicycles.
I appreciate
that. You know a lot about bikes. So I would come to you. Hey, what do you think about this?
I like to think I know a lot about bikes.
Right. But I would come to you because you have demonstrated capability, because I trust your character. Do you understand? That's kind of how you earn respect.
Gotcha.
Right. And even in one Bible verse, Psalm 34:8, taste and see the Lord is good. Blessed be the one who takes refuge in him. I think at times where God said even about tithing, test me in this. In other words, God's saying, hey, test me in this. Taste and see that the Lord is good. If you come and experience and you come and try me out, what you're going to find is we're going to have that love and that trust for God. And he's going to earn that because he's taking care of us, not because he's not there. We learn to trust God because we've seen answers of prayer and we've seen him do great things.
Sure. One thing, I like to usually do this on topics I'm discussing. Excuse me, I should have done it at the beginning. I like to have a dictionary definition. So in this case, the dictionary definition of respect, there's 2 of them: a deep admiration for someone elicited by abilities, qualities, and achievements. Exactly what you were saying. And the second one being a due regard for feelings, wishes, rights, traditions of other people.
Right.
What they do, having a general respect for the way they live their life, kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've had people though. There was one time there was a church in the area, and they were having some issues, and they were making some decisions and making some moves. So then they got questioned because some of it was, questionable, and it was logical why somebody would ask a question like, well, why was that the decision, or why did we go that way? And the response from the leadership was, well, we're the leaders and you don't question us.
Oh, geez.
And to me, that was that inability. Now that's a breakdown of relationships, right? Now you're not willing to relate. You're not even willing to have a conversation where I've always welcomed questions. I love people asking me questions. I don't get threatened by that. It's great. If you have a question, ask me. I don't care if it's about theology or what decisions we make or why we did a certain thing. I love to be able to explain the reasoning behind what we do, because usually we don't do things just to do things. There is a reasoning behind it. And if I can't, elucidate that to you, what I'm saying, where I can't explain that to you, that's kind of a problem, I think.
When I was in a youth group, I was in high school, we were going to Cedar Point one day. So we're all gathered in the church parking lot or whatever, and the youth pastor's giving all these announcements. There's a ton of people, a ton of parents, a ton of friends who don't even go to our church. He's like, make sure you stay in groups of 4 all day long. Before he even finishes the sentence, one boy goes, why? He's like, great. I mean, now the youth pastor's on the spot of why he has this rule, and he actually did a great job of answering it in a way. So it was just kind of funny. Like that same thing, like you can't say because that's my rule. You gotta have a little explanation. Yeah, he has a question. You gotta answer him. So when I think about respect that first definition, like think about Michael Phelps in the pool, what he's physically capable of. And all those awards that he has done, the qualities that he has, as far as an Olympic swimmer, man, I cannot do that. So I have a deep respect for what he is able to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's a church-going man or anything like that necessarily. But as far as the swimming aspect, my goodness.
He's really, I think it's good to have people you look up to, too. I mean, good. Like you probably have cyclists that you really look up to. You may have some that you follow on Instagram. I know you do a lot with Strava. You're getting connected with area cyclists.
Trying to get a group ride going.
And then, as you get to know people, I think that's an awesome thing. But one of the things, too, on the respect is earned. I mean, Matthew 7:17 says, likewise, every good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree can't bear good fruit. And again, you're going to be known by your fruit. So you can't come into a situation and say, why weren't you looking at me like a good tree when I'm in fact producing bad fruit?
Yeah, right.
Again, it doesn't matter. I think your position, like you said right at first, well, hey, if there's somebody you don't know and they're your boss, you're going to give them respect. I think you start off there, and you may never give them lip, but in your heart, how you feel about that person as a respectful is really going to mean, are they respectable? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. I don't want to ever like delegate and give someone a job simply that I don't want to do. Right. That's like dirty work essentially.
Right.
Or if it is, I'll ask someone, hey, like, will you please help me with this and let's just knock it out. Like I grew up in church. I hate setting up and taking down folding chairs. I've been doing it for 26 years.
Right.
I hate it. I'm not saying I'm over it. I'll do it. But like when it's like the whole gym and they're like, Eric, we need you to do, I'm just like, I don't know about this one, but like, that's when to me, that's like my dirty work. I hate, but like if I can get someone in it with me, I don't want to just dump it off on someone and say, I'm not going to do this. I want you to do it.
Right.
I feel like that's poor leadership and that's not,
I would agree.
To me, like that's not respectable. But if I'm going to join in with them and like we all do it together, what I classify as dirty work. Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends on too, like on a Sunday morning, would I want Mark, who's our worship leader and also producing this show, setting up chairs? No, because Mark needs to be worried about
got his own
the
job.
sound. Right. So that's not something for him. Or if I'm practicing my sermon, you don't want me not practicing my sermon before going up there because I have to set up chairs. So I think it depends on what exactly is going on. But at the end of church and everyone's gone and they're tearing down chairs, then I grab chairs and I help. Because again, I'm not above. I don't think any of us are above doing any one thing because we're too good. And it means a lot for people when you join them and you show care. Here's one way that I felt a lot of times. And now I say this, I'm not saying quite tongue in cheek, but I'm not holding like a hard, fast line on it. But sometimes I've thought about it. Hey, you're only as good as your last sermon.
Sure.
In other words, the attitude is you got to bring it every time. You can't be inconsistent. You can't have someone coming to church one Sunday, wow, he really did a good job this Sunday, and the next Sunday because, I was distracted or just didn't feel like putting the time in, and you're just throwing anything up there, and then it's so-so, and you're all over the map. Right. I think that drive to be excellent, that drive to do a good job every time you're out, every time you have an opportunity, you're going to do a good job. I think that kind of drive helps set you apart and get you more in that respectable thing. Yeah. You as a cyclist, all the time are trying to be king of the mountain, KOM on Strava.
Absolutely.
So you will, if you have a little quarter-mile stretch on a part of Tisch Road, you'll try to get king of the mile on there. If there's a 2-mile stretch, 1 mile, half mile, wherever all the king of the mile
and I got it, baby.
Are, right? And you
took a lot of attempts, but I got it.
Right, exactly. But you work at that because you work to be exceptional. For me, and what I do as a photographer, like I'm not happy with just being, go out and take pictures. I would strive to be, I want to be no one doing it better. Like there's no one taking more chances. There's no one out there later. There's no one out there, and eventually I'll be out super early at sunrises too. And I'll get a buddy and I'll go out there eventually at some point just to see what it looks like when the sun's coming up as opposed to the sun coming down. What are we going to see different today?
Sure.
So get out there. But I want to go to places and do things basically most people just aren't going to be willing to do, because that to me is an earning of respect, because you're out there. You're not saying, hey, like my photo no matter what. No, I don't expect anyone to like the photo unless it's a good photo, right? I don't expect someone to like a sermon unless it's a good sermon.
Sure.
Sometimes, like if I put a daily huddle up there and it's, it doesn't get that many likes, I don't blame the people. I'm like, must not have done a very good job on that one, or else I just didn't hit the mark, or I didn't hit a nerve. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything anyone was really. I was maybe the only person on the planet who was really concerned about it.
Sure.
So sometimes I'll throw stuff out there that I'm thinking about. I'm like, you throw it out. Well, obviously no one else is thinking about it. No one else cares about it.
I met a guy he'd been to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant in New York, ordered a steak cooked a certain way, and it came out and it was too done. And he took a picture of it after the meal. He emailed the restaurant or whatever. I mean, it's Gordon Ramsay's a big chef name or whatever in that circle or whatever. Hell's Kitchen, I think that's his show. And yeah, sure enough, he got like a voucher for like a free steak. He got reimbursed essentially. Right. But yeah, same thing. Just because it's Gordon Ramsay, him and his team got to bring it every night, every meal that they're sending out. So it's the same concept.
But and if you do that, if that's your attitude, it's not saying you won't have a bad day. I mean, Mark's an outstanding singer, our worship. It doesn't mean he's not going to hit it off note sometimes. Or my wife is very true to note singer. She's not going to hit a bad note.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, everybody's going to hit, but you can see people that are striving.
You can't work to a certain point and then get there and then coast and then slack off.
I don't think so.
Mistakes happen, yeah, sure, but you got to keep pushing yourself.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, and that's respect is earned, and I think trust is earned too. A lot of times people will I've always said this. I can forgive you in a second. Doesn't mean I'm going to trust you.
Sure.
Forgiveness is granted. Trust is earned, and that kind of goes back to a question you had at the beginning. Is respect given or is it earned? Respect. Probably I can give you a certain amount of trust when I'm first getting to know you. But if I find you untrustworthy, you got a long way to go to dig yourself out of that hole. Because if I catch you lying to me, then I'm gonna start questioning everything. Because I'm a very logical thinker, and so I'm one of those guys. You lie to me in one thing, you might lie to me in another thing. Not saying you do, but now I don't know.
Right.
So that's trust is earned.
So are trust and respect equal and opposing? If you lose trust, do you automatically lose respect?
Oh my goodness, I would think so.
If you lose respect, you automatically lose trust?
I can't. I mean, that's a tough one. It probably depends on the person, to be honest with you. I mean, if you apply it to marriage, that's where I would usually when I'm talking about trust is earned, it's usually in a marriage relationship where someone's broken trust, whether it's infidelity, anger issues, or something else. And maybe they've lied to, or even a kid to a parent who's lied to that parent so many times about not doing drugs. They find out they're doing drugs. I'm not doing drugs. They were doing drugs. I'm not doing drugs, but they were. And so now you've lost trust. Did they lose respect for the person? I don't know. I guess it would depend on what they were doing, you know what I mean, and who the person is that looks at them. It depends on maybe that love level, but trust for sure. Yeah. Because I think trust is going along with what you earn. Respect is earned, and I think trust is earned as well. So I would say case by case maybe on that one, and maybe not. I don't know. They probably, they're probably linked at some point, right? I mean, I would think that they're tied together, at some point.
Yeah. I don't think that they're always equal and opposing necessarily, but when you lose some trust, respect will definitely go down. If you're looking two bar graphs or whatever, one that goes down, they're
probably
correlated
going
in
down.
some way.
They're probably tied together in the stock market. So
exactly.
The whole stock market's going down overall. Probably they're going down too. But I think even Daniel's saying, hey, give us 10 days to see if our diet that we're asking for is going to work. That's earning trust. I think Daniel his whole life earned trust. And so to me, that's a huge thing. In 1 Timothy 3, it says, command and teach these things. Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example for the believers in speech and conduct and love and faith and purity until I come. Devote yourself to the public reading of Scripture, to preaching and to teaching. Don't neglect your gift. Then he says, be diligent in these matters. Give yourself wholly to them so that everyone may see your progress. Watch your life and doctrine closely. Persevere in them. Because if you do, you will save both yourself and your hearer, right? I mean, you're going to earn that respect. You're going to earn that trust. So I love that thing. Hey, come on, get going. And read that 1 Thessalonians verse too, which I think that's
I love this one. It says, and to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, you should mind your own business and work with your hands, just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders and so that you will not be dependent on anybody.
Right.
So mind your business, do your work, win the respect of other people.
Ask, what do you want your reputation to be? You know, do you want your reputation to be fighting over politics? You know, I think for me, you know, as a speaker, sure. As a photographer, sure. As a dad, you know what I mean? I want to have a good reputation with my own kids, that, you know, they not question that when I'm dead, I want them to be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Not saying,
right.
Oh, well. And definitely as a man of God, you know, that's kind of the stuff. So you have to ask yourself, as we end this podcast, what do you want to be known for? You guys all have a great and blessed week.